Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. And today I get to hang out with my new buddy, Vicki Collins, who is the publisher of Bucket List Community Café and a TV journalist and reporter. Vicki, welcome to the show.
I'm a producer, Johnny, just
Oh,
FYI.
producer. I
I
said
like
reporter.
being
Yeah.
behind the scenes, not in front of them. So
Yeah, you told me this is your first podcast interview.
I know I'm a little nervous.
Yes, well, you know what? You're going to do great. We're going to have a good old time. We always do. I'm 120 for 120, so you'll have a good time.
Okay.
I brought Vicki onto the show because she's got a really unique perspective on publishing, and she's giving back to the industry in some really cool ways. And so we'll get into that later. But Vicki, the first thing I'd like you to do is tell us a defining moment in your media journey.
You know, it happened really very early on, Johnny. I was in middle school in Honolulu, Hawaii at St. Andrews Priory High School or middle school at that time. And we had a career day. And Linda Coble, who was the anchor at the CBS affiliate KGMB at the time, came to speak to our class. And I just knew then, this is what I want to do. I want to be in television. I want to report the news. I want to do programming. It was very, very clear. Prior to that, I'd wanted to be a marine biologist and I'd wanted to be a lawyer. But when she came, it just totally focused me. And then when I graduated from high school, or I was still in high school, I sang in a choir called Nakani Pella that represented Hawaii for the bicentennial.
Yeah.
And we traveled to California and we traveled to Philadelphia and to Washington, D.C. And when we got to California, we got to sing over at, I believe it was Warner Brothers Studio. And I was just so excited. I mean, this was what I wanted to do. I didn't care if I even went to college at that point. If they had offered me an opportunity to sweep their floors at Warner Brothers Studios, I would have done it because I was so focused at that point that I wanted to go into television or into film or into some kind of storytelling.
Yes. So 2 questions. I guess the first is the reporter that you got to that inspired you. What was her name again?
Linda Coble from KGMB. She was a co-anchor with a guy named Bob Seavey.
Yeah.
Way back in the day in Honolulu.
And what was it about Linda? And I ask this because like I've had moments like that where something has named me, right? Like something I saw somebody and I was like, something about that person is my future. Right? What was it about Linda that struck you?
I mean, it just seemed like she was doing such interesting, important work.
Yeah.
I don't know which came first. I mean, I remember always seeing my dad watching Bob Seavey on the air in the evenings on KGMB. I remember reading all kinds of books about network news and feeling like this is where I belong, where I want to be. But she just introduced me to a really, really interesting world.
Yeah.
And it kind of went from there, where I just knew that this was, for me.
Yeah. And was that the same thing you said, interesting and important work? Is that the same thing that when you're at Warner Brothers Studios and you're also having this moment like this is where I want to be? Was that part of the weight of what called you there, or was it something else?
I just really wanted to be in television or in film or and this was a foot in the door,
Yeah.
It was a chance to just be in the moment in the industry and see like a studio or see the lot and just it was just, I don't know, it's just really exciting to me.
Yeah.
I just knew that this is kind of where I belong.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you get to see behind the scenes. You get to see how the sausage gets made a little bit, right? So you get that feeling of being behind the veil. Um, yeah, that's so
And that's
cool.
always where I've wanted to be, Johnny. I wanted to be behind the scenes.
Yeah,
I've had no desire over the course of my career to be in front of the camera.
yeah,
I remember the very first time I was asked to do a live report because I happened to be the first producer on the scene of something. I was so nervous
yeah, yeah,
because, I've always wanted to be behind the scenes and be working with the people who go on air, but not be that person.
yeah, yeah. So what is it about? Because the person you saw, Linda, was in front of the scenes, right? She's
Right,
in front of everybody, but your version of it was behind the scenes.
right.
And so what was it about that was attractive to you?
I'm sure it evolved over time, but what I love about being behind the scenes is you're part of the management team. You're, um, you're in charge of content. You work with the team and you motivate the team, and that's what I love about being a producer is you get to work with all these different people in all these different capacities, but you ultimately are the person responsible for the content, and that's what appealed to me was just to be kind of that higher level thinker.
Yes. Yep. Yep. Making sure the show goes on, right? Motivating the team, making the higher level decisions behind the scenes that somebody has to make in order for real work to happen. Um, so where did your career go from there?
So I went to the University of Colorado in Boulder. I studied communications, and then I moved to. I was on my way to Los Angeles to get that career in film or television in LA, and I got distracted by San Francisco, which was just the most beautiful place. I loved being there, and
Yeah.
I got distracted by San Francisco, so I started in radio for a short while at KSFO Radio, and then moved on to KRON in San Francisco, which at the time was the NBC affiliate. And I became a production assistant and was there as a PA, and then had an opportunity to be a producer. So I packed up my car and my dog, and I drove sight unseen to Wichita, Kansas, to
Whoa.
work at Cake TV in Wichita. And that's where I started my journey as a producer, and then that's taken me across the country and back.
And you told me that you had a mentor in Wichita. Can you tell us a little bit
Yeah,
about him?
his name's Larry Hatterberg. He's 80 years old now. We just recently went back to Wichita to celebrate his birthday and also the 70th anniversary of Cake TV.
Yeah.
And yeah, Hatterberg just saw something in me that no one else saw. I used to hover over his shoulders and watch him edit. He was just this amazing storyteller who really was able to touch emotions with the way that he crafted sound and pictures and heart. And I would watch him as a storyteller. And I was at the time, I was a line producer, and I didn't think I ever was the best line producer. A line producer, if your listeners aren't familiar, is the person who stacks the newscast, who works with all the reporters and the assignment desk and everybody to put together that night's newscast. And I was a line producer. But I would watch him, and he is probably the biggest influence in my storytelling
Yeah.
and in my abilities to craft stories, with beginnings and middles and ends, and really evoke character and make people care about what they're watching. I really credit Hatterberg.
Yeah. That's cool. And that's actually just such a point of interest, right? Because um this is a person that changed your life, right? This is a person that had an impact on your whole your entire craft from there on. How do you get to use what he taught you at all these days?
I
Or
did a lot when I
yeah,
was working with NBC Network News
yeah,
and in my company Teletrends when I was producing nationally syndicated shows and was doing kind of longer form storytelling.
yeah,
I was able to use it a lot. These days, what I can do is pass along
yeah,
what Hatterberg taught me
yeah,
about leading with sound, leading with your most compelling videos, starting strong, finishing strong, leading with character. All those things are things that I'm passing along now to the people, the young aspiring journalists who I'm mentoring. And but yeah, I had an opportunity to do some really, really impactful stories when I was with the NBC Network News. And it was kind of stuff I loved doing,
yeah,
was really getting, to the heart of a person's story
yeah,
and making people care.
yeah. Do you have any particular stories that are memorable to you from that time?
So there's a journalist, he's retired now from NBC. His name's Kerry Sanders. And I feel like the most impactful stories that I've done have been with Kerry. But there was one that stands out. It was about a nonprofit called Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep, which was an organization that helped families through the birth of a child who was either going to be stillborn or was going to pass away shortly after birth. It was very, very heavy.
Yeah.
And we found a family in Minnesota who had experienced this, and she was a photographer for this organization. So, following her experience losing a child, she helped other families through it by taking those birth photos for them so they wouldn't forget the child.
Oh,
And NBC gave us a ton of time to work on it. We were able to go and be with them a couple of times up in Minnesota to follow a family through their process and through their grief. And it turned out to be an amazing story.
wow.
That's certainly one, that, I'll never forget. There are others, and not just stuff that I've done for like NBC or Network News, but also, the work I did for Bead for Life, which was an NGO that was an income generation project in Uganda.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a chance to visit Uganda 3 times and tell the stories of these women who were bringing themselves out of poverty through their work with Bead for Life. That was an amazing experience. So it was just those kind of stories where, you're able to offer hope from suffering.
Yeah. Yeah. You sound like a storyteller.
I
uh,
guess I am.
I knew I was taking a chance because I didn't prep you for that question. I was like, I'm just going to go for it. This is the
No,
storyteller.
it's
You asked
fine.
me about the
Thank you.
stories. Uh, so let's go a little bit into your superpower. What made you good at your job? What made you good at at being a storyteller? Like, what is it about you that maybe others would say that you worked for that makes you good at your work?
You know, I was thinking about this question because you had mentioned that you were going to ask me this, and I kind of feel like my superpower is that I just don't quit.
Yeah,
I feel like even if things get really, really challenging and I want to quit, and there are certainly times when I've experienced that, you know, most recently publishing online community journalism. This
yeah,
is not easy.
yeah,
But I just don't quit. I try to figure out ways around the setbacks,
yeah,
and I pivot. And I actually wish I was as resilient or as flexible when I was line producing, I would have been a much better line producer. But
Yeah.
I really just feel like if you don't quit, you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
You'll get it done. And when I look back on my career right now, I'm still here, and a lot of people who honestly I thought were much more talented than myself, who had much better connections, they left, and it opened up doors for me. And yeah, but that to me is just don't quit, be
Yeah.
relentless. If
Yeah.
you believe in what you're doing, you'll figure out a way to get there.
Yeah.
um, but you know but at the same time, you also need to make sure that what you're pursuing is worthwhile,
Right. Right.
and that you really really believe in it, because to persevere, particularly when things are not going the way you're hoping, is very challenging. It takes a lot of resilience. And I do. This is a message I pass on to the young people who I mentor now: is just don't quit.
Yeah.
Just don't quit.
Yeah. I hear it. I hear it loud and clear. Now, so you said, and you said don't quit. You said two things. One, don't quit. The other thing was pursue something that's a worthy cause, right? And so, can you tell us about your worthy cause that you're pursuing with Bucket List Community Cafe? Um, you're doing a lot more than just journalism with that. So, yeah, tell us a little bit about how it works.
So, Bucket List Community Cafe is online community journalism for the Denver area. I live in Denver. And as I mentioned, my background was in network television, and I would get shot out of the cannon. That's what we referred to it every time there was some horrible thing going on, like a mass shooting or a natural disaster or wildfire. I would get called and asked to go and to try to talk to people and find people who were in the thick of things and get them to come and talk to the camera, right? To talk to the reporters, to talk to the anchors. So you were kind of getting people at their absolute worst time of their life. Maybe they've lost a child in a mass shooting, or they've lost their home in a natural disaster, or lost their community in a wildfire. Particularly with mass shootings, I just felt like no matter how many times I did it, and I did it so many times, nothing was changing. It just they keep happening and nothing gets done. And I just wanted to do something more positive. And so I started Bucket List Community Cafe, and just as a way to put out some positive, information about the community that I lived in. And over COVID, during COVID, we really started to help people navigate the pandemic. And at that point, we kind of found our purpose as a news source for the Denver area. And from there, we started working with students from different universities, because I couldn't do it myself, right? So I started bringing on interns. And from there, our interns became apprentices, paid apprentices. But, in terms of the purpose and stuff, everything that's going on a national level is happening in our streets and in our neighborhoods and in our communities. So there were so many stories to tell right here at home, and maybe in a smaller ecosystem, we could have the impact we were looking for. And then the other
Yes.
thing is just simply that, I stood on the shoulders of mentors. And there's definitely been a generational shift now
Hmm.
in news, and I just sort of feel like it's my turn to give back. And so I stood on the shoulders of mentors, and now if I can help other young journalists or young journalism entrepreneurs, or you know, uh, young business people, whatever, wherever they go, if I can support them like others have supported me, I'd like to do that at this point.
That's awesome. Yep, that was probably what struck me the most about our conversation when I first met you. Was that this is, it is a lot more than just local news. Although local news is a piece of it, but there's this kind of local news is the context, but But really, you're a nexus point of inviting, young interns and then apprentices to have their first experience, like their first practical real world experience in the world of media and journalism, right? Like that's really
Right.
what you're doing.
Yeah,
Uh,
we're helping them build their skills and they're moving on to really great jobs. I mean, that's the thing that's kind of exciting and certainly not anticipated is that we have proof of concept. I mean, we have a lot of our team members now who are working in television or working in business or working at local newspapers or working as freelancers or in advertising and events and marketing in New York. And, our young team members who go through this skills intensive, this training hospital, are doing really great things and are, getting off to a really good start in their career.
I like how you said training hospital, because I think that probably evokes for most people what you're getting at, right? Like the best way to learn this is to be in, you want to learn medicine, go be in a hospital, right?
The pit.
Yeah. 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 I keep hearing about that show. All right. I
That's
probably need to check
great.
that one
You
out.
got to
Yeah.
watch it. It's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. All right. So how is Bucket List Community Cafe? I guess I'll have to ask you about the name. Yeah. People are going to ask about the name. So go ahead. Go ahead and tell them
So,
about, yeah.
yeah, the name, right? The name has been my. If I had to do it again, I probably would have given it a different name. But the
Yes.
reason it
Yeah.
was named Bucket List Community Cafe is because um, I figured that when I was done producing television and was ready to hang up my shingle, what I would want to do was have a coffee shop, bookstore, art gallery combo where people would come to and connect.
Yeah.
And this would be in some small town like Makawao, Maui, because I'm from
Yeah.
Hawaii. And,
Yeah.
this was it was on my bucket list.
Yeah.
And so I called it Bucket List Community Cafe because it really, what I'm doing now really started out as a blog
Yeah.
about this really cool area. And it just sort of, to me, the name was aspirational. It
Yep.
spoke to connection. It spoke to bringing people together. So that's what I named it. It's been a bit of a problem along the way, but we have quite a bit of equity in the name now, and
Yep.
nobody bugs me about changing the name anymore. And but yeah, that's why you have a news site with a rather quirky name.
Yes. Yeah. 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 But it's working.
It's working, yeah.
Yeah, because I mean I think that goes back to the tenacity. You don't quit. You don't, right? Like if you hang your shingle might have a weird name on it, but you stay there long enough, and people will be like, "Oh yeah, that's that place with the weird name."
It was funny, Johnny, because a lot of the people in the journalism ecosystem were like, you got to change the name, you got to change the name. And a lot of other people were like, I love the name.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of 50-50. We've even done surveying around it, and it was kind of 50-50. And I was like, you know what, let's just keep it. And, if we partner at some point, then, and they want to change the name, then we'll talk about it. But at this point, we have equity in the brand, and um, you know, people are like, "Oh, I heard about you. I heard about you." And we're still using the same logo that my son created for it in 5 minutes when I first started this, and
So cool.
yeah, and but we've been building the brand,
Yep.
and the word is getting out, and I just feel like it's worth sticking with.
Well, and it sounds like you've done the work to build the funnel for for employees and for interns and apprentices. So you must have good relationships with the universities.
I do. We are adjacent to the universities. We're not part of the universities. So, you know, that's been a challenge for sure. We're not funded by the universities. We get our funding from grants, and we
Yep.
do community fundraising, 3 rounds of community fundraising, and we have recurring monthly contributors, and we have business sponsors. But outside of a stipend that I receive for actually being a media partner in a class up at the university, Bucket List doesn't receive any funding from the university. We're doing this work to help students build their skills. outside of the university ecosystem, which is probably one of the biggest challenges we have because, we don't really fit the mold of, what a lot of the ecosystem expects out of an online community journalism site. We're not part of the university. We're a training hospital as well as online publication that serves the community.
Yep.
So
Yep.
we're really unique in what we do, which kind of makes it kind of challenging to get funding.
Yeah. Yeah. So would you say that's your biggest challenge then? Is kind of the ongoing funding issue?
Yeah, I've really had to turn my focus from the editorial. We have a terrific editor named
Yeah.
Tony Tresca who's doing just an amazing job. So I'm able to turn my attention away from the editorial,
Yeah.
not entirely away.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
I'm still paying attention to everything, but to focus on audience generation and revenue generation, which is really what we need to do to be sustainable and what
Got
we
it.
need to do to, keep this going. And so that's kind of becoming my focus. And yeah, and just wish me luck. It's very challenging. I didn't set out in my media career to raise money and
Yeah.
be a fundraiser. My passion is the editorial, the
Yep.
storytelling, the mentorship.
Yep.
So to have to pivot like this, it's it's not in my comfort zone. But I'm tenacious, right? I'm not
Right.
going
You're
to quit.
tenacious. Yeah.
I want to save this. I want this to work, and for this to maybe even be able to be replicated or to be able to partner with somebody who can help us take it to the next level.
Yeah. Yep. That's that makes sense. You believe in it. You believe in it,
Totally,
right?
100%.
It's
Yeah,
tested. You've proven it. And I imagine you're probably judging the success of the endeavor judging the success by two metrics. Probably not the right word, but maybe groups of metrics. One being how well are you equipping young journalists and media people to go on to successful careers. And it sounds like you have that's happening. Like that's documentably happening,
right.
that people are launching out from you and getting careers in media. And then the other is the success of, I guess, however you'd measure how well you're serving the Denver community, right? In terms of,
Right. The impact we're
yeah,
having. That's a little harder to measure for
yeah,
us.
yeah,
But, we're really working to be more and more engaged in our community. Bucket List talks about itself as being free, hyper-local, neighborly news,
yeah,
where we are really connected to the neighborhoods, boots on the ground in the neighborhoods, and telling the stories so everybody across the board feels seen and feels heard. And we've one of the things that we're doing, which I think is going quite well. There are a couple things. Is working with Denver Inc., which is an
yeah,
organization that oversees all of the residential neighborhood organizations in the city. So they're helping us spread our messaging out into the neighborhoods through these residential neighborhood organizations. So we're getting a lot of people coming to us now because of that partnership. And then we also are being scraped, is kind of the word, I guess, where another news organization or another organization pushes your stories. And that's happening with Nextdoor now. And I don't know if a lot of you know about Nextdoor. It's just a way that people in the neighborhoods can communicate. You lose your dog, someone finds your dog. People reach out for help. In the past, Nextdoor, in my opinion, was incredibly bitchy. And it was all stranger danger, stranger danger. Oh, there's somebody in my alley. Who
yeah,
is this guy?
yeah,
And it really, I didn't like Nextdoor because I felt like it was just piling on and dividing us, right? Making us afraid of our neighbors. But now they've had a kind of a change of direction, and they're trying to be more of a community hub in a positive way, sharing the news of the community. So we're being scraped by them now, and that's leading to a tremendous amount of engagement.
That's cool.
Yeah, and also people signing up for us who maybe hadn't heard of us in the
Yep.
past.
Yep.
We're working hard, to have impact. So and serve the needs of the community in a unique way, because we are doing stories that other people aren't doing.
Yeah.
We're doing that hyper local stuff that often there is no room for. And so it's, slowly but surely, we're, not a quick thing to
Yeah.
build an audience and to build revenue, but we've got great coaching. We have a lot of people within the ecosystem who are helping us now, and so it's going in the right direction. I
So
feel like I
cool.
have a light breeze at my back.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good. It's good. You remind me. So I'm going to throw this out there just in case. There's a group. There's an organization in Colorado Springs. I'm your neighbor. I'm here in Colorado Springs, and there's an organization in my city called Hey Neighbor. Have you heard of them?
Yep, I
You've heard of them?
have. Yep, I have. We actually, I was just at what was like a leadership summit with Denver Inc. And
Yeah.
they brought Hey Neighbor on to talk about the work they're doing. And it's so cool what they're doing.
Wow. Yeah. I
Yeah.
thought if there were some equivalent organizations in Denver, they would be a great person. And then, are you aware of my buddy Tim Jones? Shout out to Tim Jones, who runs an organization called Longer Tables. Have you heard of him?
Yeah, yeah, we were a media partner for Longer Tables, the one they did over at MSU Denver, um,
Yeah.
where they set the table for 5,280
Yeah.
people. We were a
Yeah.
media partner for that. So between Keith Meyer and Tim Jones and
Yeah.
Hey Neighbor, I just found out about them, but and I don't think there's anything quite like it here in Denver. But I know a lot of the people who were on that call were like, "Oh, we got to have something like this in Denver."
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Because it sounds like you're on that same track of really neighborhood engagement, like creating conversations at the neighborhood level, creating unity, opportunities for just good neighboring, good.
yeah,
Yeah.
we believe that you build community by sharing our stories.
Yeah.
That we build community by sharing our stories,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of emphasis now on solution-oriented journalism that can help connect us rather
Yeah.
than divide us. The news can be so toxic and
Yeah.
just really, really divide us
Yeah.
into camps. And so what we try to do is do solution-oriented journalism, not just point out the problems, but point out those people in our community or those organizations in our community that are working on solutions, and to try to come at it from that sort of standpoint in hopes that it connects people so that they can be more active in their civic life.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's very, very cool. I love the mission. What's the dream? What's a bright future look like for you and for Bucket List Community Cafe?
I think a bright future for me would be that I could put a succession plan in place and
Yeah.
pass this along to Tony and Logan and our team, and that they could run with it
Yeah.
and have the resources they need to make it successful, or that we could partner
Yeah.
with somebody to grow the vision. I had set a goal to become a thought leader in the space of internships and apprenticeships. I've been invited now to speak on 2 panels.
Yeah.
So that's been exciting, and I've been able to lead a panel myself in the communities. That's, kind of a direction I'd like to go in. I'll know I've arrived when someone invites me to speak on a panel like in Perugia in Italy or something like that, or one of the
Yeah.
big international conferences. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, ultimately, I'd like the, you know, what I'm doing to succeed me.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
where it can get passed on to the next generation who'll take it and run with it beyond me, and I
Yep.
could do more traveling and
Yep.
more gardening and more cooking and but yeah, that's definitely something. I love to travel. I'd love to get out there more and be
Yeah.
able to do more traveling. Thankfully, I work remotely, so if I step away and go somewhere, I can still be engaged. But I'd like eventually, for this to be sustainable and have a good revenue and be able to pass it on to those who work with me.
Very cool. And then last question for you: what you've gotten to see a lot of change in the media industry,
Boy.
and experienced a lot of it, and been in the trenches. When so many things were happening. What advice do you have for leaders, media leaders who are, kind of facing this future that feels like a total moving target because things are changing so fast? What advice do you have?
Yeah, that's a big question. I think that thinking like this is how we do it and this is how we've always done it and this is how it's done, institutional kind of thinking is not going to serve anybody at this point. I think, you know, uh, taking years to take action
Mm-hmm.
is not serving anybody. I find that there's, a lot of slowness in the processes, and that like philanthropy and, um, everything needs to start moving at the pace of news. News moves very, very quickly, and some of the things out there in the ecosystem, in academia and philanthropy, they just don't move fast enough. And there are a lot of organizations like mine that aren't making it. And I think we all need more support. And we need the ecosystem to be listening to the little guys and not just the big guys. But the other thing, too, along those lines, is you have to be kind of fearless. You have to be willing to take risks and get outside of your comfort zone and, um, you know, be resilient, man. I remember, like the last time that I remember getting a lot of rejection letters was like when I was looking for that first job.
Yeah.
I get a lot of rejection letters these days, and they're not even rejection letters, or rejection emails, where they say, thank you so much for applying for this. It was incredibly competitive. Unfortunately, we can't give you what you asked for. And then, no feedback, no information on why. And you have to really, really be resilient.
Yeah.
And that's what I also like when I go and talk to students. I tell them, and to a certain degree, when you work in network news and you're being shot out of the cannon, you're sent into wildfires and hurricanes and things like that, you have to have a certain amount of fearlessness about you. You have to be smart about it. I mean, you don't want to put yourself in dangerous situations, but you have to be willing to get out there in the trenches and do the job.
Yeah.
And you have to be willing to take some risks and,
Yep.
and also to speak up. That's another thing I tell the young journalists is, when I was coming up in my first newsroom job, I would keep my head down. I would just make sure, try not to piss anybody off more than I was pissing them off already.
Yeah.
And kind of like just try not to get fired, because it was so competitive and it was very male dominated. It really, and it was so, you never knew, somebody one day was there and the next day they're gone kind of thing. And And so, I always kind of kept my head down and tried not to, like I said, upset the apple cart. But I find now that the most successful young journalists who come through us and move on are the ones who are not really afraid to speak up. And you have to know,
Yeah.
when to not do it,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
or maybe when you've spoken up and now it's time to let it go.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I feel like they're the ones who are more successful, and I wish that I had had that confidence, back when I was first starting out, because I think I would have gone even further, and I've done fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like who knows how things would have been if I had been a little bit more confident early on.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Spoken like a true mentor, spoken like a sage, right? Because we give often, and this is like across these interviews that I do, like I find so often that when you get to the core of people, they're giving the gift that they wish they had had to others, right?
Right.
Or giving the gift that they did receive, like something that was precious to them that they did receive, they're giving that to others, right? Because those are the kinds of things you can just give from your guts. It just feels like breathing. I can imagine that those young people that are in your program, they're very fortunate to have you. I can tell. You care about them, you pour into them, and then you're trying to give them, right? Like you're trying to be the shoulders that they get to stand on to go to the next level, because you're trying to get them to surpass you, right? You're like, let me see if I can help you fly higher than I was able to fly. And I was
Right.
able to fly pretty high, but I want you to fly higher than I flew. See, that sounds like that's the way a mentor talks.
And to have an easier journey on the way,
Yeah. Yeah.
and yeah, and I think one of the things that is kind of very gratifying to me at this point is when they have an issue or they have a problem and they're not sure how to deal with it, they call me or they email me or they get
Yeah.
back in touch and they ask for references, and I can help them take their next steps.
Yeah.
So it goes both ways. I mean, I learn as much from these young people as they learn from me, maybe more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's just opened my eyes in so many ways to uh, inequities, and to how some students have privilege and others don't, and how you can come up from both places, just with the right kind of support and confidence.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've just learned a tremendous
Yeah.
amount from other people,
Yeah. Yeah.
from these young people who I work with and have had a privilege to mentor.
So good. Vicki, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been awesome.
Thanks, Johnny. I really appreciated the opportunity.
And I suspect some of what you're saying is going to resonate with some of the people that are viewing this, because I do have people in our network and in our group and specifically our Media Data Collaborative group that really do have this kind of they resonate with that heart for the next generation of journalists and are involved in different philanthropic or ways of giving back to the industry. And so for those people that are listening, if you know of a connection for Vicki, someone that would have some synergy with her or help her take this this endeavor further or higher, then please do let her know or reach out to me and I'll connect you with her. But thanks for joining us today, and we're hyped to be with you, and we'll see you next time. So take it easy, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Thank you. We good?
Good. I'm having a bit of a problem getting it to stop.
On my thing, it's saying trying to reconnect. Make sure you have a stable internet connection. You